What's going on, everyone? We've got a mailbag coming up on today's show. These questions were asked during our live Q&A, which airs during our live show every single Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So tune in to a future Cleveland Browns Report Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern to have your questions answered. Let's start things off with this super chat from Ray Bidding. Ray asks, how do you see the Browns' record after the first 4 games? I've always approached record predictions as taking quarters of the season, clumps, little sets, if you will, and going in this stretch right here. I think they're going to go 3-2, 2-3, whatever, and you can distribute the wins and losses how you see fit. So for the first 4 games, home against Cincinnati, at Pittsburgh, home against Tennessee, home against Baltimore, I think 2-2 sounds pretty good. Like, I know that's kind of loser talk, and we all want this team to go 3-1 or 4-0 out the gates here. But if you can take a win against Cincinnati, maybe don't want to lose against Pittsburgh, but if you can come out of that stretch right there with 3 division games, 2-2, whether that's 2 wins in the division or a win against Tennessee and 1 win against those 3 division opponents, I don't think you'll be too upset with how tough of a 4-game stretch that is. So, honest reaction. 2-2 in that 4-game stretch. I know it's more fun to say 4-0, but that's my opinion. Joshua Miller, will Donovan Peoples-Jones or Elijah Moore have better numbers than OBJ? I don't know what to expect out of OBJ this year. Honestly, no gauge whatsoever. Guy hasn't been a 1,000-yard receiver in 4 or so years now. He's had 2 ACL tears in the last 3 seasons. He missed all of last year. If I had to pick one player to have a better season than OBJ, I'll go with Elijah Moore because I think he's going to have a bigger season than DPJ. But I don't know if he'll have better numbers than OBJ. I mean, that's going to be Lamar Jackson's number 1 guy. And if he goes back to his New York Giants days or the way he played in LA in the postseason, yeah, OBJ without a doubt will have better numbers than Elijah Moore. But who knows what to expect out of 13. BB Browns fan, what's going on? Any update on a Kareem Hunt re-signing before training camp? No real hard news or rumors have come out on the Kareem Hunt side of things here. We are still a few days away from training camp, and Kareem Hunt last year, 3.8 yards a carry, a career low. We've seen these numbers before. You might see a running back get signed like Kareem Hunt or someone else if Stump Mitchell, the running back coach. I mean, when you watch Hard Knocks, you guys see the positional coaches get together with the head coach and the GM, and they give report cards. And they're saying, this guy looks good, this guy doesn't look good. So when Coach Stump meets with Kevin Stefanski, if he says Jerome Ford's just not looking the part of someone that if an injury happened to Nick Chubb, he could fill in for a game or 2, then I could see them reaching out to Kareem Hunt or one of these other very notable free agent running backs. But we will not know that until at least a few days into training camp. So July 22nd, that gets underway. Stay tuned a little bit closer to the start of August. But let me know, should the Browns re-sign Kareem Hunt? This is the pinned comment on today's episode. So if a YouTube ad break comes on by, take advantage of it, scroll on down, and type Y for yes or N for no. Max, what's going on, dude? We finally developed a late pick receiver to only have to see him go. That sucks. I echo that thought. It does suck. I mean, first off, he hasn't gone just yet. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But yes, when you draft Cedric Tillman and you trade for Elijah Moore, 2 guys that are under contract beyond this year, and DPJ is a free agent after this year, that definitely sends some signals of the Browns preparing to lose Donovan Peoples-Jones. I would not rule out an extension for DPJ, though. If DPJ gets off to a solid year and he goes, I'm putting together a good season here. I like the Cleveland Browns. I want to continue to play with the Browns. I like what we're building. I want to stay in this locker room. And I know that the wide receiver pool in free agency in 2024 is loaded. This might be my best shot to get some guaranteed money. An extension could happen. But yes, right now it's not in that favor. It's not in that direction. And it does stink, but that's the NFL. You can't re-sign everyone. You got to pick and choose which guys you think are going to be long-term pieces. And the Browns are pretty deep at wide receiver, so they might want to allocate that money to other spots. Gregory H. next up. If we do need a linebacker, which I think we do, who do you think would be put on the PUP or IR to make room? So if I'm getting this correctly, if I remember correctly, you start training camp on the PUP list. If you go on IR in training camp, your season's done. The only way you can go back and play in the NFL is if the team agrees to injury release and they agree to an injury settlement and you get be a free agent. But if you go on IR in training camp, your season is over, at least with that team. For PUP list, you don't go on the PUP list once the season starts. You go on to long-term injured reserve. Taki would make the most sense. He tore his ACL in week 12 last year, December 4th. I think that was the date, down in Houston, somewhere in that range. So ACL tears, as we saw with OBJ, might take 12 months to recover. And if it's 12 months for Taki, he's probably not coming back in September. But I think the Browns re-signed Taki with the belief of this ACL recovery would not be as botched, if you will, with the OBJ one. It seems like he did not have a very successful surgery after tearing his ACL. So hopefully that's not the case for Taki. But I would not rule out him starting the year off on IR and missing the first, I think, 4 weeks or 3 weeks of the season. 3 weeks of the season on IR. So, or 4 weeks, something like that. But that would be my pick, Gregory. And yeah, they might add a linebacker in that case. Make sure to subscribe, by the way. Join our growing YouTube family here at the Cleveland Browns Report. We're at 20,161 subscribers. So if you are looking for a daily Cleveland Browns YouTube spot with the latest news, rumors, all that good stuff, you have stumbled across the best channel for it. Hit that sub button down below. AFX Apocalypse. Would you extend Grant Delpit? I believe the Browns are sort of making their own version of the Legion of Boom. We can throw Grant Delpit's stats on screen from this past season. I would like to see them extend Grant Delpit. I think he ended the year on a really high note. You can see the yards allowed and touchdowns allowed went down. His PFF grade went up. I think that week 10 through 17 Grant Delpit is here to stay. And that's a Pro Bowl caliber player, in my opinion. And so if you can extend him now before you might have to overpay for him in free agency, I'm all for it. And as for the Legion of Boom is tough to compete with. I mean, those were some Hall of Fame, all-pro caliber players, but it's definitely going to be one of the better secondaries in the AFC if everyone plays to their full potential with a top 5 pick in Denzel Ward, arguably the best cornerback last year in Martin Emerson, a former first-round pick in Greg Newsome, a 2-time Super Bowl winning safety in Juan Thornhill, and then Grant Delpit. So that would be a lot of fun indeed if everyone lives up to the potential and plays to the best of their abilities. I thought we were going to get that last year. Was not the case. Hopefully Jim Schwartz can turn this thing around. Rick Ross, what's going on? Who's a sleeper for 2023? Sleeper for 2023. Let's go with let's put JOK on screen. Let's go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the former second-round pick out of Notre Dame. I was a huge fan of him his rookie season 2021. The only knock on him is he's slightly undersized, at least at the linebacker position, because he keeps getting hurt, right? We have yet to see him play a full season, but if he puts together a full season this year, I mean, first off, think about the defensive line. Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, Myles Garrett. Those 3 guys are going to make it hell on earth for the opposing offensive line. The offensive line is going to have so much to work with on the defensive line. Getting to the second level is the least of their concerns. And that's going to free up a guy like JOK, who is such an athletic linebacker. Like, he does not have cinder block for feet like some linebackers do. He can fire through gaps. He can get into the backfield. The issue is he's not that big of a dude. So if offensive linemen do get to the second level, he's not the best at shedding blocks and whatnot. But if this defensive line frees up JOK, he could be someone who explodes onto the scene and puts up big numbers, a lot of TFLs, a sack or 2 here or there. JOK would be my sleeper for this season. Now, an off-the-wall question here I want to ask as we get through this mailbag. Who was the Browns coach when you became a fan? There's a lot of coaches in this team's history, especially since '99. But let me know who the coach was when you first became a Browns fan, whether it was pre-'99 or post-'99. Give me the coach's name in the comment section. Cool guy called Zone. What's going on? 1 month or less until the preseason starts. How do you think the team will look? to be honest, I don't give a shit how they look in the preseason. Like, I remember this Browns team went undefeated in the preseason a few years ago, and we know how the regular season went. So they can go 0-4 for all I care. That will have no reflection to the regular season. The preseason tells me how good my backups are against your backups. And my backups and your backups probably won't make the 53-man roster. Now, it can tell you a little bit about a new coaching staff, the way they are running a camp. I remember last year, the Broncos, right? Their coach, Nathaniel Hackett, was probably the biggest clown, if you will, of all the coaches in 2022. He did not play a single starter in the preseason, and that reflected into the regular season. But Kevin Stefanski is not entering year one. He doesn't have a new quarterback like Russell Wilson in Denver. So I will say this. The Hall of Fame game against the Jets will probably be one of the more exciting Hall of Fame games because we're going to get Josh Dobbs, Kellen Mond, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Those are fun quarterbacks. Those are athletic quarterbacks. And if Zach Wilson plays, tell me that won't be must-watch TV. So the Hall of Fame game could be a lot of fun. Lil Beam, what's going on, dude? Should the dog pound trade for Trey Lance? No. I mean, if Trey Lance cost you a 7th, sure. It's worth the flyer on a guy that used to be the 3rd overall pick in the draft. But I would not want the Browns to give up any serious draft capital for the backup quarterback, because I sure hope they don't need to replace Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't want to even begin to enter the headspace of if Watson does not improve or bounce back this year. But if he doesn't, then yeah, there might have to be actions taken. But no, you're already short some draft picks after getting Watson. I don't think this team should be trading more picks away. I would pass on trading for Trey Lance. Joshua Miller. Is NFL quarterback worth watching? It's funny you mentioned that, actually, Josh. So there is an episode of NFL quarterback, and I don't know if this was a plant by you and if you knew this already, but my voice is actually in NFL quarterback. They asked Chat Sports for the rights from one of our videos. So if you go to, say, episode 5, minute 37 of quarterback, you might recognize a familiar voice. So I have not watched it yet as of recording today's video, Thursday, but I'm going to watch it tonight when I go home. So I'll get back to you, but I've heard a lot of good things, Josh, so might as well check it out. It's always fun, in my opinion, to see the personal side and the human side of these beloved athletes because all we know about them is their jersey numbers with their helmets and jerseys on and their stats. We kind of forget they are regular, everyday people like you and I, so you get to see a new lens or through a new lens of these people. Pick a card time. What are we doing? I look forward to it, but it just becomes a nightmare for Jack. I'll be honest, getting that King of Diamonds like almost a month ago at this point, best thing that happened to me.
It's not like it's fun for you now because you've done it already.
I got the monkey off
my back. So you're like, I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, the moment if you get it, I will start stressing out.
Okay.
That's a fact. Tyler Smith, one of the newest members of Chat Sports, is in the studio. He'll pick 2 on the producer team. So, Jack, you want to go first?
Let's do 2 of hearts.
2 of hearts. And Smitty?
I'm going to go 6 of spades.
2 of hearts, 6 of spades.
Please.
I'm going to go with the Jack of spades. Three of clubs. So boring. 3 of clubs. That is it for today's mailbag. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll let you guys get on out of here, and we will catch up with everyone later.